Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Robbo's here, Craig's here, and Stevie's here too to answer your questions. There's some food questions in here.
You're doing a lot of rumbling around there. What's happening?
I know.
You're too much paraphernalia.
All my paraphernalia here in front of me.
Is that word used in America?
About the questions. I don't know actually.
It's a good word, paraphernalia.
Yes,
Paraphernalia.
they do.
No.
The producer tells me we do. Pete says we do use that word. Okay, for all.
He lives in America, does he?
Pete would know.
Yeah, he.
What planet?
During your time of playing football, was it common to go to an opposing locker room post-match to personally apologise and check in on a player that you've injured?
Well, I certainly didn't. I made a couple of bad challenges, not intentional challenges, but I hurt David Batty once badly. But I certainly wasn't going to go into the Leeds dressing room to apologise. And I also, unfortunately, broke the leg of Mark Chamberlain when he was playing for Sheffield Wednesday. But again, I didn't know it at the time. He carried on for 15 minutes. It was just a little toe on the shin. But yeah, at that time, you didn't go in and apologise. It was just one of those things.
Still got your face in the middle of a dartboard somewhere in England?
Well, I think probably the Leeds fans, I was lucky to get out alive because it cost Leeds the European Cup that year, or a chance to win the European Cup, because on the Wednesday night they were playing Rangers at home. And David Batty was obviously one of their key players, and they lost at home to 2-0. I think Mark Hateley scored a couple of goals. Do you remember that one?
No.
A few years ago?
Hateley scored one and assisted one for a one Mr. McCoist.
There we are. So yes, David Batty didn't play in that game and didn't play for another 6 months.
Were you the type to go and say sorry?
No, but I never. Don't laugh. I may have done had I've had.
He's never apologised in his life for anything.
I may take offence to this. I may have done if I'd caused somebody like a really bad injury, broken leg or something like that. As Robbo said, he didn't know at the time. If it had been super obvious and the player was getting stretchered off and there was I may have done, but I didn't have. I was fortunate enough I wasn't involved in any of those incidents.
What was the story Jan was telling about you in Norway?
Tom Sundby, his name was.
Their star player, apparently, according to Jan.
Yeah, I made a challenge on it, and it wasn't. I've made plenty of worse challenges. It was just a solid challenge, and unfortunately, he did his knee and he never played again. But again, I didn't know either. If I'd known that at the time, I wouldn't have gone in the dressing room. You would find a way of making sure that you got a message to him or whatever.
Do you think Graham Souness, your captain, would have gone into the opposition's dressing room and apologised for a tackle?
He would have gone in just to make sure that it needed a little bit more digging out.
My second ever game, we're playing Liverpool away, and there'd been an issue in the first game. It was a cup game. And Graham Souness looked up the tunnel and said to Peter Nicholas, "You won't last the game. You will not last the game." Peter Nicholas lasted 20 minutes, and the game's going on. I'm playing at right back, cross the ball, and everyone looks back. Peter Nicholas is on the halfway line, great big gash down the side.
What club was this?
That was Arsenal versus Liverpool.
Peter Nicholas.
Peter Nicholas.
Yeah. I was at Chelsea with him when I was a kid.
And I don't think Graham Souness came into the dressing room.
If Graham had to go into the dressing room to apologise every time he'd made a bad
He'd be there every week.
He might as well just get changed in the away dressing room. He
was ruthless.
Oh, he was a hard player, Graham.
Would you like to take the opportunity to apologise now on national television?
No, I actually met up with
You did?
Tom. I did, yeah, because I used to.
He's now Tom.
Yeah. Well, we're friends, aren't we?
Me and T.
We're all friends now.
You have shepherd's pie together?
I went and did a coaching.
No con.
I was doing a coaching school in Norway, in Oslo, and he actually came and we met up and I apologised there and then. And he was.
So you cost him his career. You cost him millions of pounds.
Well, he was.
He now lives, he was in
pity.
poverty.
He was very magnanimous. He said,
It's a pity there was no camera there.
One of those things.
It's a pity there was no camera there to film that. I'd really like to have seen that.
I hope you at least bought him a drink.
Don't be stupid.
No, you've never done that. He's Scottish.
All right, for the panel, who has had the worst recruitment in recent years? Manchester United with Sancho, Højlund, Anthony, or Chelsea with Lukaku, Kepa and Mudryk?
No, it's not even
not
even a question.
It's not even
One team at least has a chance to build with their younger players, right? And has numerous sellable assets. The other team, you could toss out 90% of the dressing room.
I think the question was about specific players, wasn't it? 3 players each, wasn't it?
Well, it's just whole recruitment.
I mean, they've offered up the players.
Oh, okay.
But I suppose if you look at the recruitment as a whole,
as a whole, yeah.
you can.
Manchester United have been shocking, haven't
Yeah. All right, did you...
At least Lukaku and Kepa have had periods where they've actually given something to their team.
Lukaku was a great. He just murdered the Italian league and been brilliant. And then he came to Chelsea, and they played a totally different game under Tuchel.
And Kepa was all right for a good period. None of these United players have been any good for any period. Never any game, 90 minutes. So it's not even close.
Did you ever develop any interesting hobbies during the time in which you were injured during your football career?
Who's drinking?
I don't think that counts.
Does that count? No.
Listen, when you're injured, there's no time to do anything else. I went to a clinic, and you've been to the same sort of clinic. I was training 7 hours a day when I was injured. So that was your life, to get back fit.
Willie Shaw?
No.
Willie Shaw?
No, I went to
Bimal.
Bimal, which had all the top athletes at the time and all the rugby players.
In my era, it was Lily Shaw.
It was all the top athletes went there, and then Robbo and
I turned up as well.
Robbo and I. But it was one of the. It wasn't a big place. It wasn't like a big place. It was tucked away in a little mews at the time.
Yeah.
But it was bespoke sort of rehab.
Yeah.
With the most up-to-date techniques and all of that sort of stuff. It was very, very good.
Yeah.
So it was ahead of its time back then.
Pretty much, yeah. A long way ahead of its time.
So in my era, it was Lily Shaw, right? And it was mostly football players, but there were a couple of other athletes, jockeys and stuff. And I organised a game of pool with a local pub. Our boys against them. And we got chucked out. Because this Welsh guy was trying to bust the bar. It was like one of those old-fashioned pubs, and it had wood everywhere on the bar.
Football
with
and drink
glasses
don't
on
go
it.
well together, do they?
And
Sounds like
he
just
had
like
too
the news
many.
that you guys were
He
going
had too
to.
many, and he was trying to pull it off and break it. And the guy chucked us all out. We got banned for the pub down the road from where we were supposed to be rehabbing.
I don't know who Craig trained with at this.
I do believe I still have the record at Lillishall.
Lillishall, yes.
20 years that record stood. Aye.
We need to set a new record on the rowing.
Huh? What am I doing now? The rowing machine.
We need Robbo,
Gibbs.
Craig and Gibbs.
Now that was 20 years ago when I did the ergo test.
Well, maybe you two can do a relay against Kieran.
Why?
Because then maybe
Does he think he's good at it?
He thinks he's really good at it. Well,
Listen,
I'll tell you what. Listen, the two of them.
Gibbs is wild to the moon, right? He'll beat him, and if I trained a bit, I'd beat him.
The two of them can go in a playoff and play the champ.
Yeah, but you were on water. I'd like to see you on the
sorry.
run.
What's your
I've got the
champ?
trophy.
You're talking about polo now, not rowing, right?
When I had Gab as my Gab was my cop.
Champions
You
League
had Dan Thomas.
Champions League final.
Are you
row
proud
off,
in the rowing in
and I won.
Retiro?
I've got
But you had a
trophy
motor in the
house.
back of yours.
So
You'd have had more.
I don't want to hear excuses.
My boat was like
wanna hear
that. Gab was
excuses.
sitting in it.
The tonnage in his boat was certainly unfair.
Yeah.
I mean, he's lucky.
good.
He's lucky he never went. He's lucky he never went down. He's
My
lucky he's here today.
oars weren't going in the water because the boat was like that.
It was one of the funniest things I've seen in a long time.
You don't realise.
Rob was sitting there like that, ready to
Funny
go.
every time it comes up.
Well, Gab got in the boat and the number just disappeared. The number in the back of the boat just disappeared under the water. I was like that.
Okay, let's move. Stevie and Craig, start, bench or drop these three Scottish defenders. John Greig, Billy McNeil, Alex McLeish.
But he'll go because he'll know more. It's more his time.
Yeah,
Not
I mean,
his time, but he knows more than me. Then.
Listen, I'm a Rangers man, but I'm going to have to go with Billy McNeil to start. Big Caesar. Caesar was his nickname. I mean, captain Celtic to the old European Cup, now the Champions League. How many times did they win the league? I mean, just
9.
ridiculous.
9.
Yeah. So Billy McNeil would start. I'd have John Greig on the bench again. Absolute legend at Rangers. Lifted the old Cup Winners' Cup in Europe for Rangers. Again, won plenty of titles. Was manager at Rangers, as was Billy McNeil, was manager at Celtic. And
Big
as
Eck
good
was
as,
manager at
and as
Rangers.
good as Big Eck was, unfortunately, Billy and John just outdo him.
I think Alec would agree with that.
I think he probably would.
Yeah.
All right, Stevie, what's the story of this picture on the golf cart? I like your popped collar. Picture will be coming off.
Eh?
We can
There's
see
a
the
picture
picture.
of you with a popped collar
What's
on a
that?
golf cart.
Oh, no, the collar.
Oh, what is he like?
One of the Spice Boys there.
Tell you what, I'm going to guess that was in South Africa.
So let me guess the players. That's Hutch next to you.
Yep.
Yeah. Is that Harkness?
Correct.
And the one on the far side with a red hard back.
Redknapp.
Oh, it's
Jamie
Jamie,
Redknapp.
isn't it?
Jamie
Redknapp.
Redknapp.
Bloody hell, I didn't know to start with.
No, the collar's up to keep the sun off the back of my neck.
You look $1 million there, don't you? What went
Tell you
wrong?
what, I've no idea. I've been asking myself that for a while, Robert.
Have you got any stories from this day?
I nearly killed Don. Because
We've all done that at some point.
For some reason, they let me drive, and we had gotten off the plane after enjoying ourselves on the plane, and decided to go golfing straight away. And then we had more refreshments, and I was driving, and I went over this bridge, and I just turned the car, and Don nearly went flying into this pond that had crocodiles and goodness knows what else on it. So I almost ended Mr. Don Hutchison on that particular trip.
Okay, nice picture. I'm all for these old pictures. Find more, please.
You know.
The belter, isn't it?
Yeah, we always end up talking about wildlife and ponds with you on Extra Time, it feels these days. What's your second favourite sport, guys? Craig?
Second favourite sport?
Like football?
Second favourite sport is football.
Because he's first, he's golf.
This is
Yeah.
golf.
He's like Scotland, golf, football.
To play.
Over F1?
Oh yeah. In no particular order, football, Formula One, Stevie loves that, and golf.
Formula One.
Golf.
Cricket would be mine.
Cricket?
Yeah, I love a bit of cricket. Yeah. Played a lot when I was a kid and still watch it. England lost this week to India in
Battered.
the second test. Battered, yes.
Battered.
Saw the first test. The first test was a great test. England came
When's
back
the next
Who's the
Ashes?
one?
soon.
In England or Australia?
It's in Australia, is it? So we'll
And is
lose
that still?
5-0.
I used to watch now and again when I was back home, but is that still as big a rivalry as it was?
Yes, because England have more of a chance these days than they used to, because there was a little period where the Aussies won for, I think, almost 20 years. They dominated England. And then in 2005
5 and 9, I
Flintoff.
remember.
and 9,
Been
yeah,
amazing.
Flintoff, yeah, they were
Yeah.
great series. And England won both those series, and that sort of made it more even.
Nice cricket. Okay, Stevie?
Cool.
Oh,
Cool. Absolutely.
just not in the pub.
No, in the pub. Absolutely. Well, Moscone Cup's fantastic.
Ah, nice. Okay.
Great Britain against USA, magic.
Not a bit of
Well,
hurling.
sorry,
no?
Europe.
No, what's the one, the curling? Don't you play
Curling.
that? A bit of curling?
No, too cold. Too cold. Nice warm pub. Nice
There's always a pub
nice
involved,
pool
isn't
table. Dim the lights. Here we go.
Off we go. Start, bench or drop international rivalry. England versus Scotland, Brazil versus Argentina, USA versus Mexico.
I saw somebody earlier on said, I'm not going to mention names, somebody today said Mexico versus the US is the greatest international rivalry on the planet.
Was it a colleague?
No.
Okay.
I mean, have you ever heard such nonsense? Well, there you go. Such is the world we live in. So that would be at the bottom on this particular one. I would say Brazil-Argentina is bigger rivalry than Scotland-England. As much as we like to build that.
But
up,
rivalries have to be
Today.
a fairly even match. And at the last 20 years, Scotland haven't really matched England at football. So
no, it's not really a rivalry.
It's not really a
anymore.
rivalry
It used to
anymore.
be.
It used to be great. The one game that you used to have in England, and Scotland probably, on the TV, you had the FA Cup, which was shown live. The only other live game you ever saw, apart from a World Cup, would be England-Scotland. And Scotland...
You know what it was
won
called
that.
then?
Go on.
The Rouse Cup.
The Rouse Cup, yeah.
Cup,
After Sir Stanley Rouse.
I went to see Mariner playing it once. Well, I didn't go to see Paul, but he was playing. Because it was at the time when George Burley was around the Scotland scene, so I'd go as like a 12 or 13, you know, whatever it was, and Mariner, there he was, as you would expect. You know, one of the best around up front for England. He was like a machine then, Big Paul, up front, wasn't he?
I went to the Scotland-England game at Wembley, 1980, when Scotland were banned. 2 years previous, all the Scotland fans had gone to Wembley, ripped up the pitch at the end of the game,
Got on the crossbar.
got on
broke
the crossbar,
yeah.
broke the goals, took them out, carried them all home, grassed a lot. And so the English FA banned Scotland supporters from the 1980 Scotland-England game at Wembley.
But you went.
And I went. And so I'm walking up Wembley Way, and there's just tartan, lying rampants, just Scottish fans everywhere. And I'm like, this is unreal. I can't believe how many Scots are there. Get in, go up the top of the stairs, get right to the very top, and the whole Wembley opens up. You can see the whole field, the whole stadium. And there was a little pocket of about 10,000 England fans, and the rest of them were Scotland fans. There must have been, I mean, back then it would be what, 90, 100,000?
Yeah, 100,000.
There was at least, I'm going to say there was at least 80,000 Scotland supporters.
It was Scotland's biggest game of the year, wasn't
Yeah,
it? Scotland's
on a
biggest
game that they were banned. Unbelievable.
So you guys say Brazil, Argentina, England, Scotland, USA, Mexico?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know, when you talk about friendlies, and you know, friendlies have been the sort of the bugbear of international football, which, you know, has changed to the Nations League and all that to try and, you know, give it a bit of life, which it has to an extent. But back then, that Scotland-England game, whether it be the year at Hampden or the year at Wembley, because
But they weren't. It was called. What was it the Home Nations
Home
Championship?
Nations.
Because Wales and Northern Ireland
Yeah,
also
but
played in it.
Home
But that was the big game, wasn't it?
But it was still a friendly,
Yeah.
you know, per se. But it was never a friendly. I don't mean it was like horrible kicking each other and fighting, but it was, even the fans never saw it as a, you know, when nowadays you have friendlies, it's like, oh God, who cares who wins? It wasn't like that.
It was probably, along with the FA Cup final, the biggest audience on the TV for any football game.
Yeah.
England,
How
Scotland.
times have changed.
For the panel, a couple of days ago, brown sauce was mentioned as a condiment. As an American, what is that? Gravy? Worcestershire
No, it's like a
sauce?
steak. It's like an A1
It's
steak
like- that's
sauce.
what- I actually answered that tweet earlier and said the closest thing is A1 steak sauce. It's,
Yeah,
but
it's not
just
very,
not as good.
It's not close, but
No.
it's. Yeah, it's got a little bit of it, but it's different.
It's actually
tomato sauce.
tomato sauce that's then got vinegar in it.
Vinegar and molasses.
Yeah,
Yes.
something that makes it go brown, but it's more tangy than tomato sauce.
Are you
Otter.
ketchup or brown sauce?
Ketchup.
Ah,
No, not brown sauce, man.
That was a silly
a little bit
question.
too spicy for Stevie.
Yeah. Yeah.
A little bit too
tangy's
exotic.
Tangy,
not
you're
bad,
not a tangy man.
No.
You ever seen anybody put brown sauce on chicken nuggets? Of course, it's ketchup. Hey. Ketchup.
Bacon sarnie, you've got to have brown sauce though.
Oh yeah.
No, you don't.
No. Well, will you eat it though?
No.
No. Okay.
It would spoil it.
For Stevie, this is an easy one for you then. Start, bench or drop, cheese and onion, salt and vinegar, or smoky bacon. What about crisps, chips?
He wouldn't bench any of them,
Yeah,
would he? He'd have the lower lot.
It's tight. It's tight between cheese and onion and smoky bacon. But I'm going to go cheese and onion. Smoky bacon in second place, and third is salt and vinegar. Clearly.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm surprised.
I'm surprised. I thought
Yeah.
smoky bacon would have been down the bottom.
Yeah.
I've got to be loyal to
I bet you don't
cheese
kiss
and
your
onion.
wife after you've had your cheese and onion, do you?
Say that again.
I bet you don't kiss your wife after a cheese and onion crisp.
Why would I do that?
All right. We'll end it there then. Thank you so much for
I
sending
give
in
the
your
crisps a
questions.
kiss before I eat them.
Thank you so much for sending in your questions. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again.